I have obviously prepared a statement. Let me be absolutely clear. I only met with Mr. Epstein for charitable purposes.
Sir, you went on the plane 7,000 times.
That was a plane of charity.
Well, yeah, that's the problem.
Hello. I'd like to start this statement by extending my deepest apologies to Il Capitano, who we will henceforth be calling the Captain. I was wrong. I misjudged his character. Not in that I expected him to be something different than what we got. No, I fully expected an honorable and noble individual. I just didn't realize how much he'd embody these characteristics. In layman's term, I wasn't familiar with your game. I haven't misjudged someone this horrifically in this manner since I was a kid and me and my fat cousin Tiki were having a chicken nugget eating competition. I tapped out at 8 chicken nuggets. Yeah, resounding score, sure. Now me thinking he's gonna halt now that the competition is done, he's won. Nope. The fat fuck ate 37 more. I always knew he was hungry, a hungry hippo. It's just in that moment I realized he's a fat fucking hungry hippo. That's what we're dealing with here. For those unaware why I'm here, in the run-up to 5.0, I made some, mild comments regarding the captain's appearance.
Natlan. Oh my god! Oh, no one's feeding these niggas on too fat, man. Why is he so skinny?
And, now that we know the reason why he's, skinny, I felt the need to come out here and apologize. If I could walk the walk, I could talk the talk, nigga. And it's following that recent reveal, I stand here. A fool. Ignorant, stupid, a dumb fuck, a speditard, mildly horny, a failure, balding, fatherless, impotent, jet, fuel, can't melt. Look. I guess what I'm trying to say is, I just remembered! I finally realized why my bidet was giving me eye problems. One of y'all was right, by the way.
Alright, enough of that. Obviously, I'm not sick anymore, which is great, just in time. As a matter of fact, that timing might be so suspicious, some may be doubting I was sick at all. Hogwash. I say, my throat still has something in it. I've been trying to clear it, but the dog. Man, it is so hot in my house, dog. But if I open the windows, then at some points, we're gonna hear the sirens, and today's just, today's a special day, man. I open them at nights. I like falling asleep to the ambient calmness of ambulance and police sirens, knowing my city is being kept safe. Anyway. What a quest, huh? And by that I mean Act 4. Act 3 was whatever, but, dude. Act 4. If Act 4 was a guy, I'd fuck him. That's how beautiful it was. No doubt our most lore-dense patch. Yes, we got information regarding the 4 shades and the heavenly principles. We got to literally hear a shade's voice, a confirmed shade's voice in the quest, and learned much more about the shade's dynamic with the... Oh, that's right, I'm gonna say it, I'm gonna get moved. The primordial one! The progenitor god! Hailing from beyond the stars! And can I just say, I wonder if there's someone who may or may not have predicted that the Shade of Death was going against the heavenly principles! Now, if Renova is indeed the Shade of Death, it would then make sense how Natlan is able to so easily bring people back to life during the wars. What doesn't make sense, however, is why the Shade of Death would do this in the first place. Defying the natural order of this world goes against the heavenly principles because they are the natural order of this world. That would pit the Shade of Death against the heavenly principles. You can't pull one over on me, bitch! I can smell the bullshit in the air! I'm right or die with my little fate! The most important point to come out of all this is the distinction between the heavenly principles and the 4 shades. Let me tell you why this is so big. A little preview for future videos. I'm in a good mood, man. Now that there has been made clear a distinction between the shades and the heavenly principles, do you remember what Nahida told us?
I'm sure you remember the entity that changed your fate. the heavenly principles.
She said the heavenly principles changed your fate. My friends, we never met the heavenly principles. We met someone who calls themselves the sustainer of heavenly principles. Our beloved sustainer of heavenly principles, which means the heavenly principles ordered her to do that because they don't have the freedom to do shit like that. I mean, trample a descender on Earth that can only come as a direct order from the still living heavenly principles. By the way, that's like 3 confirmed female shades. If our beloved sustainer of heavenly principles is in fact the shade of void, then all 4 are females, which I mean, god damn it, man. I was hoping for like some Sunday-like character, whatever. We learn the origin of Teyvat's elemental energy. Let me say that again. We learn the origin of Teyvat's elemental energy. I mean, what the fuck? We got confirmation the Seelies are angels, which, I mean, if you read the lore, you already knew, but welcome aboard the rest of y'all. The captain is confirmed to be from Khaenriah. I wonder whose Baljeet looking ass may or may not have pointed out a potential connection, but was still unsure because he can't stand strong in his conviction, so he doesn't deserve full credit. No one is sure of the captain's reasons for coming to Natlan, but what if it's because the captain has already seen one nation fight against the Abyss and lose, and is simply here to ensure it doesn't happen again? If the captain is someone from Khaenriah, and someone rather strong, one has to wonder. Furthermore, that's not all we learned from the captain. Thanks to him, we learned a bit more about the curse of immortality, which makes Dainsleif and Piero all the more suspect. And speaking of said captain, we learn that he is on a mission sent out by the Shade of Death, Renova herself. 2 characters, Xilonen and Mavuika, are doomed to die, but most importantly, we got a glimpse of what lies beyond the eggshell, and it's exactly what's been described to us all along. Don't believe me? Ask the hexenzirkel. And my friends, keep in mind, after completing the quest, the aftermath of Mavuika breaking the sky forever remains. God bless Phanes and the United States of Celestia! But before we can go over all of that, bro, I'm hyped. There's so much to talk about. Before we can go over all of that, we know the drill, ladies and gentlemen. Grab a drink, grab some popcorn, because first, we must recap. The story starts at the Adventurers Guild in Natlan. Catherine informs us, due to the recent abyssal attacks, the Pyro Archon has stationed troops all over Natlan in preparation if something bigger were to come. By chance, we run into Kachina, who tells us Xilonen has just been made aware that she was ordered to craft us an ancient's name, so we can go meet her whenever. When we run over to meet Xilonen, she's taken aback by the fact that we aren't from Natlan, a fact that Mavuika seemingly left out when ordering Xilonen to give us an ancient's name. This is a problem for Xilonen, not because, you know, she's a Natlan purist, but because crafting an ancient's name for an outlander is impossible, because forging an ancient's name for a hero involves engraving the heroic deeds of said individual. While the traveler does have heroic deeds under his belt, none have been recorded by the Knight's Kingdom because they were done outside Natlan. Further complicating the matter is that because we are an outsider, none of our memories and experiences have been acknowledged by the Wyabs. It's this acknowledgement that acts as a basis for an ancient's name. Nonetheless, Xilonen accepts this impossible task and comments the key is getting the Wyab to acknowledge us, but Xilonen predicts we may need the acknowledgement of all the Wyabs, but given this is all way above her pay grade, she suggests we consult an expert on the Knight's Kingdom, Citlali. Xilonen says she'll write a letter and have Khaenriah send it to Citlali to organize a meeting. While giving the letter to Khaenriah, he informs us they found out who was working with the captain, and it's a man from the Masters of the Nightwind by the name Ororon. He's an aloof individual, preferring to live out by himself in the wilderness, but is someone familiar to Citlali given she was the first person to notice Ororon go missing. The key point of missing, however, is no one knows if Ororon joined the Fatui of his own volition or was forced. About a day and a half later, I mean, this bit said morning of the day after tomorrow. What the fuck does that even mean, man? Speak English, bro! We go to the meetup point to see if Citlali will show up, and just as Paimons laying into her for egoing us, Citlali appears. Despite being called Granny what? She appears youthful, and in spite of xilonens' insistence that Citlali is actually young, from what I could guess, she's like, I don't know, 100, 150 years old? Somewhere like that, I'd wager. We ask her age, but she refuses to answer, and then, I don't know what the fuck happens next, man.
Anyway, that's the whole story. Honestly, it's not like I owed you an explanation anyway.
Eventually, we get to why we requested Citlali's help in the first place, and when she does a voodoo checkup on us, she says once we bring back Ororon, she will take us to see the Lord of the Night, as a matter this big extends beyond the Wyebs. Only the Lord of the Nights can decide if an Outlander can obtain an ancient's name. We head with Citlali to track down Ororon, and when we arrive at the last known location he was spotted, we get some information on Ororon. He wasn't born within the Masters of the Night when Ororon was left on the streets as a baby before the tribe took him in and raised him. Eventually, he got older and moved out to the country to just start fucking raising vegetables, one of which is phlogiston aphids, which, funnily enough, secretes a special trail we can follow. But because we can't see them, Citlali does some more voodoo on us that shares her senses with us, allowing us to see the trail. We begin to hear voices.
But is my way of speaking still not trendy enough? I've already tried my best to match their speech patterns, but given the looks on their faces just now...
But realize it's Citlali's inner monologue. As a side effect of the spell, it seems we can hear her thoughts, but she's unaware of this, and we don't tell her. We eventually find a distress signal recognizable only to the Masters of the Night when indicating Ororon was force taken by the Fatui. As we follow the trail, it splits off into two directions, forcing us and Citlali to split up. Eerily, however, the trace we follow eventually vanishes, leaving us befuddled. We then hear another voice in our head.
So, you can hear the sounds of the wind from beneath the earth.
Before we know it, we are in the Night Kingdom, and the voice reveals itself to be Ororon, who then reveals to us he's not being forced to do anything. He's been working with his friend to set up this little meeting. His friend then reveals himself to be the captain, who sort of just goes, yeah, it was I who had Ororon leave the traces leading you here, and it was I who used the Master's ritual to bring your soul here. I mean, honesty is the best policy, I suppose. The captain states he would like to meet us in person and explain himself, but remember, tell no one. Citlali finds us on the ground and expresses concern before informing us her trail led to a Fatus camp she believes is holding Ororon. So we go with her to check it out. The camp does indeed have Ororon, who we then bust free. We keep secret our hidden meeting from earlier, all the while Citlali tears a new one into Ororon. Ororon reveals he did indeed help the captain against Mavuika, and that he did so because he was warned if he didn't, the Fatui would go after Citlali. We give our report to the speaker's chamber, and right as Ororon heads off with Citlali, he gives us a glare, reminding us of what must be done. Eventually, the appointed hour arrives, and we head to the location and find no one. Then Ororon appears. Then the captain appears. Capitano tells us he's not interested in fighting us and would rather we join forces to save Natlan. He says, Mavuika has a truth she will never share, and once he tells us, we may just consider his offer. Her plan, as is, requires 2 more heroes who have yet to be recognized. And even if they are recognized, how do we even know she has enough power to drive back the abyss? Should her plan fail, Capitano reasons not only will Natlan fall, but all of Tivat too. Contrary to the front Mavuika puts on, she has a backup plan, one that will most certainly work, but comes with an extraordinarily high cost, hence why it's just the backup plan. We reason because the captain wants to save Natlan and tried to grab the Gnosis, then the backup plan must require the Gnosis, which he confirms is correct. He never intended to grab the Gnosis for the Tsaritsa, but rather to save Natlan. But given he lost against Mavuika, he has to put the Gnosis aside for now. So fucking honorable, man! God damn, bro! But he still hasn't given up on his wishes to save Natlan and has a new plan and hopes the Traveler will agree to work with him, and then they can just get started right away. We all sense something rapidly approaching, which causes the captain to just Batman out of that bitch, and we soon realize it was Citlali who just sort of realized there was some bullshit going on here. Citlali presses Ororon regarding the captain's intentions in Natlan, which just causes him to nope out of there. That boy's running, bro! We then just head to a bar with Citlali to discuss, where it's revealed she's a lightweight. She sobers up upon catching some fresh air and just tells us she's the best, and people hate her because she's the best. She eventually talks about how unusual Ororon is. You see, the people of the Masters of the Nightwind can see the human soul, and Ororon's soul is incomplete, which to them is a bad omen. It's due to the incomplete nature of Ororon's soul, the elders wish to turn Ororon into a vessel for other lost souls. They would conduct some voodoo ceremony, allowing lost souls to gather within Ororon. They'd then send Ororon to the Night's Kingdom, and once the lost souls returned, the ley lines would be strengthened. Citlali tells us when damage is done to the Night's Kingdom, souls disperse and just sort of float around, unable to return to the ley lines. The loss of souls damages the ley lines even further, so the goal of this plan was to just send back a bunch of souls all at once to repair said ley lines. The problem is Ororon would die in the process. When Citlali was asked for her thoughts on the matter, she neither approved nor disapproved of the plan, and when the ceremony happened, it failed and Ororon lived. Looking back, she hates her inaction in letting the ceremony go ahead and celebrates its failure. Ororon, on the other hand, apathetic to his own life, never seemed to care much for the outcome of the ceremony, only simply asking if Natlan would have been saved had the ceremony worked. Citlali wonders if this false guilt built up inside of Ororon is what led him towards the Fatui, and we wonder if the Fatui are interested in restarting the ceremony using Ororon once again. We want to report this all to Mavuika, but it's nighttime and she's a fucking human, so she's probably sleeping. While we are sleeping, we're awakened to the sound of noise, and Citlali informs us the Abyss has attacked, so she's off to help her tribe. Before we go off to help with the attacks, we speak to Mavuika and tell her we met the captain. She confirms the Gnosis can indeed be used to solve the issue, but the cost is this. The Gnosis would drain all the souls and memories from the Night's Kingdom and create a net which would surround the ley lines and defend them from abyssal corruption. Mavuika then adds souls are life, so this would be akin to sacrificing all those, which seems excessively cruel to her. Furthermore, Natlan's memories and legends would also be converted to the net, erasing its history and culture. Would it even be Natlan anymore? Due to these costs, this plan remains in the basement. In any case, with the current abyssal attack still continuing, Mavuika states she's gonna join the fray, and while she's not as strong as a god currently, she can still scrap. We head to the Children of Echoes, who are dealing with an attack, and help, and then go back to the speaker's chambers to see if there's any update on the captain. Chaska and Kuliakan here, by chance, ran into the Fatui and spotted them saving the locals, but wanting no credit for their actions. Chaska and Kuliakan continue to tell them, whereby we learn Kuliakan is the fucking reverse Flash. They're supposed to be a regular dandy-ass nigga. Look how fast she's moving from one hiding spot to another, bro. The game doesn't even try and show you how she did that. I mean, maybe it was her tribe's art, though, and I'm just being a hater. Chaska did mention that. Anyway, the two learn the Fatui are digging up an ancient mechanism relating to an ancient dragon device called the Source Mechanism. About 2 seconds later, they were spotted and had to run. Due to the Source Mechanism being an ancient device from an ancient race, no one has any idea how it works, not even Mavuika, but she guesses it can just substitute the Gnosis for the captain's plans. We see Chaska and Kuliakan off, and then out of nowhere, Citlali appears and reveals Ororon returned to help the tribe, but then skedaddled before Citlali could grab him. In any case, she reveals she did some voodoo with a delivery bag that captured some of Ororon's memories, allowing us to look at them. The memories showcase the first interaction between Ororon and the captain. The captain seeks the whereabouts of Citlali, but because Ororon is playing coy, the captain gives up immediately, saying he's not fucking wasting his time here, which causes Ororon to want to tail the captain in order to see what they want. And then in what's gotta be the funniest scene in the game, I'm not even gonna I'll play it.
My lord!
Ignore him. He is no threat.
Can you, bro? That's gotta be so demoralizing, man. Interestingly, a ley line disturbance then occurs, causing said minion to kneel over in pain, and the captain then uses a spell from the Masters of the Nightwind to send escaped souls back into the ley lines, which catches Ororon off guard, but not quite as off guard as learning the Fatui are far more interested in defeating the Abyss than hurting Natlan. We then get the scene right before Capitano enters the stadium to fight Mavuika. He's giving his final orders to his men, telling them to retreat should this endeavor fail. However, he has no choice. The Pyro Archon has not kept her promise, and Natlan is running out of time. After the captain is hurt, Ororon then makes a very interesting comment. He states, "This feeling is familiar, just like the ley lines from the other day, like a soul trying to escape. Due to too many unanswered questions, it's then Ororon opts to save the captain. In the cave, the captain asks again if Ororon heard something from here, but this time we learn he's looking at where he was wounded. Ororon reveals he's had his doubts about the Pyro Archon's plans for a while now, which is why he saved the captain. Ororon asks again why the captain seeks Citlali, but not before the captain first demands what Ororon's connection to her is. Ororon reveals Citlali is simply his elder and teacher and wants to protect her. Then the captain responds with a very interesting statement. He says if Ororon wanted to protect Citlali, he should not have interfered in the fight between Mavuika and himself and just let him die versus the Pyro Archon. Never speak like that again, you son of a bitch! And also, doesn't he have the curse of immortality? I don't know. It's very, very interesting. The captain reiterates what we know about Citlali, and, she could speak with the Wyeb who have knowledge on the Night's Kingdom. And when pressed on why he needs knowledge on the Night's Kingdom, the captain says that doesn't concern Ororon. And when Ororon reminds the captain he saved his life, the captain reminds Ororon he is Fatui. He can turn on one at any moment, but Ororon says while people can lie, their souls cannot, and within the captain's soul is a strong sense of justice. Stunned for a moment, the captain apologizes and says he underestimated Ororon and says they should leave. We are then only shown part of the ending of another conversation the two had, in which they discuss a plan that involves not just building a net around the already existing ley lines, but constructing the ley lines altogether. The Loom of Fate then gets a shot, and we decide to tell Mavuika all we've learned when we head to the chamber, but Mavuika then tells us she's just located the captain herself, and we go, perfect! We know what the captain's planning. We tell her the captain plans to use the source mechanism to construct the ley lines, and Mavuika says, no, we cannot do that, because it's the same price as using the Gnosis. In any case, due to continued abyssal attacks, they're spread kinda thin, and again, Citlali is needed back at the Masters of the Nightwind, so all we've got is us, Mavuika, Khaenriah, and xilonens, and we sort of just craft a plan that, honestly, the plan pretty much just boils down to, oh Lord have mercy, make it so none of us have to fight the captain. Bro, Mavuika's depowered, and the rest of y'all are just regular ass niggas, bro. That's pretty much what the plan was. We head to where the captain and Ororon are, do a puzzle, and look, there they are. Ororon and the captain both state it's too late, confirming to us it's not too late. A screech plays out, affecting everyone.
The sound of lament?
Except the captain, who questions its origins. Ororon then becomes a fucking battle god for about half a second, confusing the fuck out of not just xilonens, but also the captain. This then forces the captain to intervene, who throws a spell over Ororon before stating, "This isn't Ororon." The voice coming from Ororon's body then laughs and calls the captain Commander, and the captain recognizes the voice. The traveler seizes the moment and turns off the source mechanism. The voice, sharing the same sense of bullshit the writers have, continues to be mysterious about the captain's true identity, referring to the captain only as Commander, stating he hasn't changed and he should finish what he set out to do. But the captain states he's more interested in saving Ororon. A true warrior doesn't leave behind comrades. The voice replies he shouldn't care about someone on the brink of death with an incomplete soul. We then swap on over to the real Ororon, whose soul is just like on the fucking brink of death. His life is flashing before his eyes. We then learn the one who took over Ororon's body and recognized the captain was a man named Guthred. A man from khaenriah. Ororon sort of just goes, I want to live now, and then, just lives, because Ororon apologizes to the captain for the failed plan, but the captain simply states he repaid the owed debt to Ororon for saving his life. Nigga, you're cursed with immortality, you didn't save shit. Ororon then gets recognized by his name, just revealing he's one of the heroes. And shortly after that, the Lord of the Night awakens. She apologizes for the earlier screech. Her name is Yehudakan, and says due to her limited power, sleep is the only way she can extend her existence. She says activating the source mechanism awoke her, hence the scream. Most were fine, but because Auroron's soul is broken, he was a bit worse for wear. This caused another soul of unknown origins to wrestle control of Auroron, but Yehudakan admits she doesn't know where that soul came from. But we just might. Do we remember what Auroron said when he saw the captain get hurt? This feeling, it reminded him of souls trying to escape the ley lines. So, did this soul get agitated from within the captain's body? Does the captain have just a shepherd? Is he just a shepherd of khaenriah souls, my friends? Who knows? The captain states the source mechanism was supposed to reconstruct the ley lines, but instead awoke her. Why? Yehudakan states it's because she's the one who made Natlan's ley lines the Night Kingdom. Mavuika states the battle between the Descender and dragons destroyed the world, which allowed the Abyss to invade. Natlan's ley lines were hit especially hard, so in an effort to help, Yehudakan used fragments from the old ley lines to recreate something similar, ergo the Night Kingdom. Shibalanke then strengthened the Night Kingdom and created the rules to help further fight against the Abyss, the Ode of Resurrection, and the Pilgrimage. This all came from the power of the heavens. According to Yehudakan, the dragons tried to use the source mechanism to strengthen the ley lines by imbuing them with power, but they couldn't navigate the complex ley lines, so they failed, and given the ley lines have changed since then, all the source mechanism could do now is awaken her. She absorbed its power and can now speak to us, and then states she can rebuild the ley lines, but at the cost of her life. She then tells us she is currently a lord to all the people of Natlan, but once used to be an angel, the previous form of the Sealies. Few remain in Natlan, hence why there are no Sealies, and the ones that stayed all just sort of chilled it down here with her. The Lord of the Night then turns to Mavuika and states once she gives her the go-ahead, she will reconstruct the ley lines to save her people, defeat the Abyss, and save Natlan. Mavuika thinks for not even a fucking moment before saying no, because if she doesn't, the Lord of the Night ceases, and so too do the rules and the history and culture, and now we're getting new side effects because apparently people will have memory loss, mental disorders, cognitive issues. I mean, nigga, what are we doing next? You go and tell me the captain, refusing to believe the bullshit he's hearing, speaks up.
Humanity's survival is worth any price. Once the Abyss runs rampant, all that remains will be a land of corpses and ruin.
And when the new ley lines are invaded again by the Abyss? What then? How are future generations supposed to survive? A land without the Lord of the Night, without the protection of the rules, is doomed from the start.
You presume too much. If you cannot ensure survival in the present, you have no right to think about the future. What will it take for you to realize that? How many hundreds or thousands will have to die?
The situation hasn't gotten that dire yet, has it?
Why? Because I am a survivor of khaenriah. I've witnessed the devastation and terror of the Abyss with my own eyes.
Khaenriah?
That's right. My family, my comrades, my homeland, were all lost to the Abyss. It is an unforgettable pain. One that no amount of time could ever dull. Not even 500 years. You've experienced something similar, Mavuika. You should know exactly what I mean.
You're right. The pain, the regret, the catastrophe. They all haunt my dreams to this day.
If I could go back, I would reject all false hope. I would do whatever it took to ensure their survival. You have that chance before you now. Why do you refuse to take it?
Because we don't have the right to make that decision. We love this world because it contains everything we hold dear. Everything that has happened here has moved us, shaped us, and turned us into who we are today. Giving up our memories and history would mean rewriting everything. The people of this world would then become fundamentally different beings, their physical bodies the only connection to their former selves.
Even so, given enough time, a new civilization would inevitably flourish. If you believe in humanity, you should trust in their ability to create a new future.
Or history could repeat itself. The Abyss could invade once more, and it would all be for nothing.
Can I say something?
Shut up, nigga. Also, what is the captain? This thing was like 8 feet tall? What the fuck is this? Everyone just sort of prefers Mavuika's plan, which causes the captain to turn to the one person who hasn't said anything yet, the Traveler, who simply states he wants to win. The captain then simply goes, alright, fine, I'll wait, and admits Mavuika's plan does have the best possible ending and states he and the Fatui will help in any way they can. In private, we ask the Lord of the Night some questions, namely... about the power of the heavens. She tells us they don't like being mentioned by name by neither man nor God. They remain in the shadows as shades. The shade of death was the one that helps Natlan create the rules, and it was through her Yehuda also created the Night's Kingdom. To the Lord of the Night, it was an act of love, but also reparations. Reparations for what, I wonder, the war? We don't know. Nonetheless, this was far too much authority for a shade to possess, which angered the heavenly principles. Interestingly, Yehuda was going to give them another title, starting with Almighty, but then stopped herself. In CN, by the way, it's highest instead of Almighty. The shade of death then became empty inside and stopped caring of her identity. Regardless, few know of her existence. We then ask the Lord of the Night about the Loom of Fate, who then states even she cannot create something from nothing, as she merely reconstructs the ley lines from old ley lines, and that if Natlan had the Loom of Fate, they'd have a new option against the Abyss. When asking her about elemental energy, she tells us phlogiston is Tivat's base form of energy, and the heavenly principles used phlogiston as a basis for the creation of elemental energy to better counter the Abyss. Elemental energy is the modern counterpart of phlogiston. We then ask about our ancient's name, and she tells us she'll just, tell xilonens in a dream what she's got to do. We then go back to the speaker's chamber, where Mavuika welcomes the Fatui to the cause, but questions the captain on some matters. Firstly, how did he find the source mechanism? The captain said the Fatui found some scholars, and then bada bing bada boom found the device. Mavuika wonders where her investigation faltered, but, I guess it happens, I suppose. Or there's something suspect going on here with these 3 scholars. We then ask the captain how he knew of the Gnosis' role in the plan, and he states 500 years ago during the Cataclysm, after Khaenriah succumbed to the Abyss, he fled to Natlan with a platoon. He fought in Natlan for a time, being the chief of the Masters of the Night's Wind, Aizu, who helped the captain in his time of need. So, ever since, the captain has committed to aiding Natlan. This also explains, by the way, why the captain knew some Masters of the Night Wind spells. As Aizu was dying, he told the captain the secret of the Gnosis. Mavuika is a bit taken aback, stating she knew Aizu, but doesn't recognize the captain and wonders if it's because of the mask. But he states the mask doesn't matter. His appearance has changed greatly, as even with the curse of immortality, the body is not protected. We immediately bring up dainsleif, who seems fine, and the captain signals he knows Dane, but not like that. In Khaenriah, he simply knew his name, and the last time he saw Dane, he was traveling with our sibling, the princess. He states the hate and pain dainsleif carries far surpasses even his own. We then ask the captain if the real reason he didn't want to fight us was because of our sibling, and he says yes, he would have preferred not to hurt us. He then states if he saw the princess now, she wouldn't recognize him. But to our earlier question, he doesn't know how Dane managed to keep his body, and I guess he never cared to ask Piero either. The captain states aside from his body, his strength has also greatly waned from what it once was. Mavuika tips it, stating she felt like she was fighting the pinnacle of man's strength, but the captain says he's still lost, but would have liked to have fought her 500 years ago, and she echoes the same sentiment. She then states she believes they are both equal in strength. In any case, the captain states his goal was the Gnosis and he failed to grab it, so he fails. When we ask what he would have told the Tsaritsa, he then interestingly tells us the Tsaritsa allows every Harbinger to, quote, pursue the meaning of their existence, and this can be far more important than her orders. The captain wanted the Gnosis to save Natlan. That was his goal. If he still had the Gnosis in the end, then yeah, he could have brought it back to her. Mavuika says, listen here about that. But then transitions over to the Abyss, stating when all 6 heroes are ready, they unleash a big power that can be used to fight the Abyss, but it's only good for one use. It's a power Xilonens acquired from Renova, the Shade of Death. As a Shade, she is one who predates all the Archons, an emissary of the Heavenly Principles. She has dominion over death, and it's because of her the Ode of Resurrection exists. As for the Divine Throne, when a human ascends to reach the Divine Throne, their inner flame awakens, and the size of the flame depends on the person's potential. But as for Renova's power, the amount inherited doesn't change based on aptitude. Not everyone can withstand the power of the Shade of Death. However, pass the trial and obtain her power, and you will wield a power far exceeding that of any Archon. Paimon comments on the risks. Mavuika says, yeah, she doesn't mind the risks. And the captain just goes, I salute you, nigga. We're then told to head to bed, which is literally just code for we're gonna get woken up by an attack. When we head to sleep, we switch shots to xilonens and Citlali, who seek a meeting with the Lord of the Knights. They inquire about forging the Traveler's ancient name, and given they're in private, Yehudakan asks them if they believe the Traveler deserving an ancient name. Xilonens says yes, even though it will cost her her life because of some fucking metaphor, I don't know. Yehudakan then reveals she senses unease stirring from Citlali, who reveals she had doubts about Mavuika's plans, so she used the ceremony to look into her future and saw death. That's why she wants the Traveler's name. She needs the power of a descender. Because Mavuika is attempting to use the power of the Shade of Death, the price of using that power, naturally, is death. In this war against the Abyss, Mavuika will die. Yehudakan then emphasizes the difference between fate and death. Even if someone is fated to die, that isn't much to go on, because fate simply states what will happen in the future, while death is a rule. Mavuika using Renova's power will defeat the Abyss at the cost of her own life, but Renova doesn't care when that death comes, only that it will come. Yehudakan emphasizes that the Traveler can change when that death comes, its fate, but not whether or not it happens. We also learn Mavuika has long been aware of all this and is content with her death. Citlali states once the Abyss is dealt with, they will come back and find a way to extend the life of the Lord of the Night, to which she goes, well, you sorry fucks, just let me die, bro. She then gives the two a voodoo notebook that will record the Traveler's experiences in this land, which is not even something Irminsul can do. Odd. We are then awoken by noise. Shocker. Xilonens and Citlali hand the notebook to us, say to hold on to it, and then Kachina busts in and says the Abyss are attacking everywhere. We meet with Mavuika, who tells us all of Natlan is under attack. It's a full-blown invasion. Natlan is under siege. The cities are burning. The skies rain death. We are humanity's last line, the shield between survival and annihilation.
And you will know my name is the Lord when I lay my vengeance upon you.
Anyway, you spend a lot of time fighting the Abyss, helping the people. This is, this is more something you gotta play to experience. I mean, look, we had Fatui dying to protect the locals, the Saurians dying to protect the young. It was a battle, man. It was war.
Thanks.
The situation is grave. Hold this position. Keep the people safe.
Chaos and emptiness. So that's the abyss.
And it knows that now is its best chance.
But the sacred flame!
Archon's on the case.
Now, I will say, they sort of Doctor Stranged Capitano. My man turned into an AI beginner bots. You know, you got the strength of the gods, and you can just, like... What are you doing, bro? Use your powers. Eventually, these strange crystals began falling from rifts in the sky that were immune to our attacks. We run into xilonens at some point, who tells us an interesting comment that made me think. She says she used to hear stories about the sky being painted black, and how mavuika witnessed all this in the past, which I thought was odd, given back when this happened to Khaenriah, the sky was painted red, but maybe I'm overthinking it. Or maybe not. We eventually run into Chaska and Kuliakan, who are, you know, doing something. Kuliakan is covered in abyssal corruption, which we cleanse just in the nick of time. Psych! She died. Chaska almost loses control of herself with abyssal powers emanating from her, but regains control before being recognized by Menelik, which, by the way, is an Ethiopian name. My name Dawit is an Ethiopian name. Menelik, my brother. Anyway, with Chaska, that makes 6 heroes, so they gather together to do the ultimate voodoo.
We unite as one,
Baptized by the Turnfire,
bearing an ancient blessing, knowing true power.
and accepting a fate of devotion.
We embrace the transcendent flame.
For Natlan!
For Natlan!
In the name of the Pyro Archon Halloran, I declare the Night Wars underway! The Ode of Resurrection will guard all life till the war is over!
Everyone, ancient name bearer or not, can now be resurrected with mavuika's help. We can also damage the earlier immune crystals, which interestingly enough are called the Mark of Gausiatoth, which is Yog-Sothoth rearranged. For those unaware, Yog-Sothoth is an outer god in the Cthulhu mythos. We all know how I feel about cosmic horrors. Anyway, after dealing with the marks, mavuika senses it's time.
We won! We won!
At a celebration, Mavuika informs the masses the war isn't over. All they've done is push the Abyss back into the Night Kingdom, so now it's up to her to go in there alone and deliver the final blow. She also publicly thanks the captain, and he says congrats. We go talk around amongst the people. The captain says we remind him of the princess and hopes we can reunite with one another soon. When speaking with Mavuika, she asks us to join her in the final leg of this journey, and just us, no Paimon. As we head off to sleep, Lolly catches up to us and tells us of Mavuika's fate, stating Natlan owes a debt, and only Mavuika's death can clear said debt. She read the future again after the war, hoping the god of death would change her mind, but Mavuika's death remains. In the speaker's chamber, we get some Mavuika backstory. We learn she's from the Scions of the Canopy, knew the heroes from 500 years ago at a young age, had the ancient's name Kiangazi, meaning leader, and then we hear an interaction between Renova and Xilonens. Renova states she's done what's required of her, and now the rules are written into the Night Kingdom. Xilonens states this isn't enough, as if she is to have the people of Natlan deal with this shattered world, she needs to offer more, referencing her power. Renova scoffs at the balls on Xilonens before telling him her domain is death, and so thus, using her power comes at a great price, and Xilonens states he does not fear death. Renova then says if the wielder of her power does fear death and can't overcome it, then a lot of innocent people will die in that person's stead to clear the debt, which I fully support. Xilonens says his people will not bend to the Abyss nor her rule, so she relents and says she'll help him, but as just a mere shade, she doesn't have the freedom he'd think her to have, so she hilariously tells him to keep this a secret, and if asked by the one above all, she will lie and state Xilonens stole her power. Needless to say, someone fucking snitched, and bro, who could've, so either the one above all just knows everything, or Xilonens snitched, or she's just a terrible liar. It could be that. In reality, Mavuika asks how our ancient's name is coming along, because we'll need it for the final battle. We ask her about the sky, and she just says, yeah, I don't know what that is, but, best guess is the Heavenly Principles wants it kept a secret. We get one final scene with the captain, who went back to see the Lord of the Night and states he knows the predicament Mavuika faces for using the Shade of Death's power. When Yehudakan asks how he knows, she states the ruler of death sent you on your long journey, and he responds, while Natlan has one final battle, so too does he against one final foe, and for the sake of the lost souls and Natlan's future, he needs the Lord of the Night's help. Oh, that's it. That's the quest, fellas. Let's get to work.